Welcome everyone to today's seminar. It's a pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Jari Multisilta. He's a professor of multimedia at Tampere University of Technology and also University of Helsinki in Finland. And his training is in mathematics, and he did his PhD on hypermedia-based learning environments. His current research interests are networked and mobile learning, video storytelling, and digital game-based learning. And in today's talk, he will tell us how students can be motivated to learn by collaboratively creating and sharing video stories on mobile platforms. So, welcome, Jari.
It's a pleasure to be here, and I would like to thank MediaX for inviting me to tell you about my research on mobile technologies, video storytelling, and learning. Okay. So I live in a small town in Finland, in Pori, and this is actually where the university there is, this building back there. And to remind you where far away Finland is, it's there, and we are almost at the polar circle. So polar circle is about there, and of course now we are here in sunny California. But anyway, I've been here a couple of times as a visiting scholar. Professor Roipi has been my host. I've been at HSTAR. And we've been doing research together in this storytelling and learning and educational technology area. I was also 2 years at Nokia Research Center doing the research on learning and mobile technologies. That was back 2008 and 2009. But my research area has never been like multimedia algorithms or that, but it's more like applications of multimedia for learning. And today I'm going to tell you results. My results are based on 2 research projects. The first one was called FinAble 2020 from 2011 to 2014. This was a quite big research project in Finland that University of Helsinki was coordinating, and Tampere University of Technology was there also. I was the co-pi here in this project together with Professor Hannele Niemi. And we did this together with Stanford, so Roy's researchers were there also doing something with this one. And the other one is SAVI, Science Across Virtual Institute. So we had this kind of joint research program between Finland and United States for 2 years, 2013 and 14. And this was coordinated by Professor Erik Hamilton from University of Pepperdine, and I was the coordinator in Finland. This project was funded by NSF and the Technology Innovation Funder, Tekes in Finland, and Academy of Finland. But in all these projects, we actually been doing research on video storytelling and learning technologies, how students can collaborate over digital videos. What we want to teach, or what we want to actually that students learn, are 21st century skills. And there are many kinds of listings. What are the skills that kids in the future will need? This is one of those lists. We think that this kind of skills are important for jobs today and also in the future. Unfortunately, in schools tend to focus more on like math or more on like history. But these skills are coming more visible in curricula also. But we thought that digital storytelling, digital video is something that we actually could use so that kids learn these important skills. The role of technology has been discussed quite a lot in schools. I think we all think that, yes, we have to learn to use technology in a meaningful way. But what's the meaningful way? So technology should be seen as a tool that creates thinking processes or learning processes. It's not a value itself, but it's something that helps you to solve the problem or create new ideas, be creative. I think this cube is a cognitive tool. When you try to solve it, you probably have to think quite a lot. So these kind of tools we would like to see, and video storytelling is, I think, one of this kind of cognitive tool. In my talk today, I will show you 3 examples of how we use digital video for learning. The first one is digital storytelling on Finable project. The second one relates to video inquiry, a pedagogical concept Roy and I have been developing. And the last one is about structured inquiry. And the video has central role in all these examples, but it has a little bit different role in all these examples. So let's go to the first one, digital video storytelling. I think that we humans have always been storytellers. Our ancestors gathered around open fireplaces, they told stories, they distributed their learning, their culture to next generations by telling stories. And when we learned to write, to put things to paper rolls or the books, that was the new media for transforming our culture to next generations. And we still tell stories. We tell stories in a classroom, we tell stories in the movies, in the books. Kids tell stories using Snapchat and this kind of new media. So we are storytellers. But the school don't use video and stories that much. Before we started the Finable project, we did a study in Finland about how kids, the first graders to high school students, how they use technology in schools and or outside school. And we realized that they use video, internet video, like every day, very, very much. So back in 2011, they used, girls used, 61% of all girls used internet video every day. 70% of boys used YouTube or other kinds of services what was available at that time. And since that, these figures are growing, I think. I did a quick survey how much people use, how much teens or young students use Snapchat and Instagram. Probably the 2 most popular video applications or image applications on internet nowadays. So in Finland and also in the United States, about 30-35% of all teens use Snapchat. It seems that Snapchat is actually for college-aged students service. So 77% of college-aged students use Snapchat, like every day. Instagram is not that popular in the same age groups, but it's still very popular. 60% of all school kids use Instagram in Finland and 52% in the United States. These are the sources that I used here. So anyway, these are very big numbers. And in the Finnish study, they also asked how kids think they use internet. So they asked how many of you create images, how many of you create videos on internet. And surprisingly, kids said that about 30% of all kids created images on internet services, and less than 10% think that they create videos on internet. And this is surprising because anyway they create Snapchat videos, but they don't. The kids, they don't think that if you do a Snapchat, it's a video or it's that kind of thing that you would consider to be internet video. So I claim that this kind of understanding what kind of media the kids are doing is changing. They don't consider it like a big deal if they do a short video clip on internet.
Do those figures include any editing, or is that just the initial creation, like taking a photo, recording a video?
This could include editing also.
But it's not restricted to that.
No,
so it could
no.
be very, very cursory.
Yeah, yeah. But I think that they didn't understand when they were responding to the questionnaire that this is, if you take a Snapchat, it would be like making a video. Okay, this was the background. So we decided that we would like to bring video to schools. So we wanted to create digital storytelling as a pedagogical method. We wanted to bring a tool where kids could create stories, share the stories with others, remix video clips, and make meaning with videos. We also needed a pedagogical framework, and Professor Hannele Niemi and I designed a global sharing pedagogy. It's a kind of a framework where we combined 21st century skills thinking and collaboration and sharing thinking, and created a model, and we measured this model, that how this model and the features in this model actually support learning thinking. I'll come back to that later, but there is a book. If you want to see it, it's here. I'll pass it. Where we tell more about this model. So we created a platform. It was called Movie, Mobile Video Experience, where you could share your stories. You could take a video clip with your mobile device, upload it to the service, and in the service you could create stories based on the clips what you had uploaded or the group you belonged to had uploaded. There were clients for iOS and Android, still are, and you could use location information if you wanted to. And I would say that this is something that is like combination of Snapchat and Instagram, but it includes safe environment in the sense that it's closed. You need to have a user ID, and there was also a moderation. So the teachers were moderators. The teacher could decide if somebody, if my students should actually be moderated, or could there be uploaded, the videos what they uploaded, could they appear here without the moderation. And we didn't have any problems with the content, because the students know that there is the possibility that this is moderated. Right. In the pilot, we had 23 schools in 3 countries, here in California, in Finland, and in Greek. 29 teachers, more than 2,000 users in total, and over 6,000 videos was uploaded to the service. So this is a pretty good number, and I will next show you short examples of what kind of videos they did during this project. So we, as researchers, we didn't restrict the content. So it was up to the teacher or teachers to decide what's the content and what kind of curricula there is, what goals, learning goals there are. So these are examples of the content, of the stories what the kids created. And the schools were like we even had one kindergarten in California and one here in California and one in Finland. But most of the classes were like 4th or 5th graders. We had some high schools, but most of them were like 4th or 5th graders. Some of the stories were like expressing your opinion and trying to affect to other on your own opinion. Animal testing was one of those. So they created a story about what they think about animal testing, what could be done, what's important in that. Homelessness was another video that was a story of this. Recycling. This is a pretty nice example of the story. These are Finnish girls, 5th graders. They created a story about recycling. So she had her used clothes over her bed, and she don't want to use them anymore, but she's thinking what she's going to do with the old trousers and old shirts and so on. And then there is another girl who pretends to be her mother, and the mother is actually advising the daughter how to recycle. This is energy waste, and this is something you could give to Red Cross to be distributed to poor families and so on. And they did it. They did the script beforehand, so it was like well planned. They were planning the filming angles, where the camera should be, and they did it all in English. So it was also like learning English language. So it integrated the topic itself, but also the language learning. Teach to Arnold, the kindergarten, 2 kindergartens, one here in California, one in Finland. They were really interested to use this technology, but then they were thinking that how kids of 5-year-old kid, how could she or he create a video and share it with same age kid in Finland? Well, it turned out that it's very good to do with a toy. So the Californians, they wanted to send a sea lion to Finland, to the kindergarten in Finland, and it was called Arnold. And Arnold wanted to learn Finnish. So the Finnish kids actually taught Arnold a few words of Finnish, and the teacher was filming these teaching sessions. And I bet that there are a group of kindergarten students here in California who speak very fluent Finnish in small scale at least. So it was very popular, and they extended it. Finns sent their own toy to California, and they wanted that kids here in California teach that toy games, what kind of games and plays they do in a kindergarten. So it was sharing their day-to-day life in kindergarten, sharing their culture actually. Okay, and then there were other stories. So here in physics, they filmed a physical experiment what they did in a lab. I'll come back to this kind of video later. Ancient myths. Greek students were participating in a project where they shared their local history. And of course we know that in Greek there have quite a bit of local history. Finnish kids were learning ancient Greek history. So they wanted to learn something what they in Greek were sharing with the school in Finland. So they created a place where Zeus and other gods appeared and did many kinds of things. So they made those stories from the school book live. And because they were filming on site, on the places where, or about the same places where these stories were supposed to happen. So it was much more concrete. Kids of my age is doing a story, filming it there where it was happening. So it's very engaging. And I have one example soon of that. The last one here, harassment. This is also something what Greek students did. 15-year-old group of girls, or 15-year-olds, wanted to express their opinion about harassment. So they created a story where there was a girl and she was on the internet and her relationship with her boyfriend had broken. So she was very sad, and then she was on a discussion group, and somebody wanted to help, and then this somebody wanted to meet, and it turned out that this somebody was like grown-up male who wanted to, you know, harass this girl, 15-year-old girl. So I think that this was very strong opinion. It was very difficult topic, but they did it in very nice way, and they expressed their own opinion. It was really important for the girls who did this that they could express their own thinking on this. Okay, now I show you the first example. It's Europe and Angel. This is something what the Greek students did in their local history project. And this was done in 2012, I think, in the end of 2012. And I'll come back to that soon, but let's see the video. So this is a story about how the money was born, how the money was invented. They created the play, they did subtitling. Okay, you get the idea. This was done at the same time when the Greek financial crisis were on the news in Europe all the time. So the kids, even the fifth graders, knew that, okay, again we are lending more money to Greeks. And the kids there created this kind of video. You can imagine how much thoughts this video created there in a classroom, what kind of discussions the teacher could lead her class in after seeing this video. So I think that this was really good example of sharing meaningful content to other kids and talking and learning from that. Okay, we wanted to create environment where what would be engaging, and we kind of figured out that engagement includes at least these two components. There is hard work component, that means that you are willing to push hard to learn something. You are willing to do your work, whatever it is, reading, creating a paper, creating a video. But there is also fun element. So you have to have that kind of learning process where there is fun component. And it does not mean that you are actually smiling all the time that you are doing something. Fun could be also part of hard work, but it's something that comes afterward. When you are gaining something, you get the reward, the fun element. And we think that fun element and hard work element was present when kids created these digital stories. So in this project we asked from the teachers what do they think, how learning process went on in this environment. These are some of the answers. 28 teachers were responding to this questionnaire, so it's relatively small group, but anyway, I think we got pretty good opinions. So these are related to the 21st century skills. So we claim that the kids actually learned 21st century skills based on teachers' thinking, and we trust that teachers can evaluate the learning process. We didn't do any pre-tests and post-tests. We didn't measure the learning outcomes as such. There was also a strong relation between engagement and these two elements, so group work, so collaboration was really important here, and the technology itself was really important. So they correlated heavily to fun element, but they correlated heavily also to hard work element. So in that sense, we would say that group work and meaningful, easy to use technology was really important for the learning experience. All right, then we go to the next one, video inquiry-based learning. And I guess you all have the idea what is inquiry learning. So it's something where you make questions. You are like looking for new things, and you are exploring the world. And we wanted kids to explore the world through their mobile device lens. So we wanted them to use their camera so that they pick up physical, chemical, or other kinds of phenomena in their surroundings, and use that as an outcome or as a starting point for making questions. Okay, this is the definition of inquiry learning. So it's a process of exploring, asking questions, making discoveries, creating new understanding. We also think that inquiry learning correlates with higher order thinking skills. So when you explore, when you make questions, you also have to think you are actually using a cognitive tool there. So I would like to cite my colleague, Professor Roy B. here. He put this very nicely, that video here has a bridging function. And video can also generate science talk. So it's familiar for the kids to use video, to use technology. We can sparkle science talk using this in a classroom. So thank you, Roy, for that. This is the first example. This is actually a short video made in Los Angeles area, where they wanted to use this tool to create their own Khan Academy. So students created videos where they solved math problems and explained the problems to others. The outcome is like not as professional as Khan Academy, but anyway, I think the best thing happened when the student was planning how she could explain this process to others so that they really understand it. So that was where the learning happened, and the video was only a tool for that. Okay. But then we went on and we gave guidelines to the classes that take a short video and make questions out of the video. This is an example what the teacher and the researcher were doing, like as an example. They had a 7-second video here where somebody is opening the refrigerator door. And the goal was do questions about this video. So there could be like, what causes the electricity to make the light bulb work? Or how does the refrigerator keep the food cold? And so on. And these would be like starting points to learn more deeply using other methods, using books, using discussion with the teacher and so on. But this is like the starting point. Okay, so first, or in the next slide, I'll show you an example of video. This pretty simple video. This guy is running, I guess this might be from here. And then we want to know what kind of questions you can make out of this video. So probably let's do so that you try to make a question out of this video. It can be anything. Who has a question?
How far around the track did he run?
Yeah, that's a good one. What else?
What are some possible uses for this space?
Mm-hmm. And these are examples of the questions what the students came up. So very, very good questions. So this was the goal, to see science around you using these videos, and then continue learning using whatever method fits best to the situation. This is one more example, actually. Very short video. The bottle is rolling there, but the mechanics is quite complex because there is liquid inside the bottle, and that causes the bottle to go back and forth. And actually very complex situation, but it looks very simple. I don't know how they continued from that. Probably they didn't do the physical model, like full-blown model, but anyway. So they learned to make questions. And the last example is about structured inquiry. So we took a step forward. We wanted to go a little bit more detailed. So we wanted to give kids a script or a procedure that they should follow, create a structure of an experiment, for example, and then use video there as a documentation tool. So in structured inquiry, students get the outline of the work. It's in very typical case, it could be like an experiment in a physics or chemistry lab. And then we combine video to that process. And we wanted to learn how the video could help to learn more in structured inquiry-based situations. Based on other researchers, it seemed a good idea because video anyway supports the engagement kids to the STEM subjects that otherwise tend to be too theoretical or not in their real lives. kids might think that science is something that is not happening here in their ordinary life. Well, anyway, maybe video could help to bring that better there. In this experiment, we had 2 fifth grade classes in Finland, 50 students in total. And they had a period of 5 weeks where they had 10 45-minute lectures. They created a total of 53 digital stories. And they had a process that they did an experiment in a chemistry lab. This was one lesson. Then they went to their ordinary classroom where the teacher talked, discussed with the students about the experiment and presented some theory also. And the third time when they went to the classroom was editing the story, because they were filming, they were recording with their mobile devices when they were in a chemistry lab. So in this phase, they kind of revisited what they did in a chemistry lab. And yes, the average length of a story was 50 seconds. I think it resembles quite nicely what there is in general, what kind of videos there are in internet. So, well, Snapchat videos are shorter, but many other videos tend to be like half a minute or maximum 1 minute. Stories were watched over 2,000 times during this pilot phase, and some were more popular than others. Some were watched only 5 times, but the best ones were watched like 165 times. I will show you one video, one example. This is the making of Super Bowl. So it was like polymerization kind of experiment where they created a plastic ball that was supposed to bounce using very simple ingredients. And so they had the experiment, they had structure for the experiment, what they did in a chemistry classroom. And this is the outcome of one group. It's in Finnish. The voice is in Finnish, but I'll explain you. So there is a pair. And the guy who is filming is also giving advice to this person who is actually doing the experiment. So he had already done his own Super Bowl and he was helping at the same time. So this is a typical example. It included all the phases that the experiment needed. You have to have the original ingredients, then you do the polymerization, and then you use cold water to make the form stable. And the person who was filming was also guiding that use a little bit less water to save the water. So he was very, I think, very good on that. But this was a good example. And then we analyzed these videos, what kind of things they were filming. Some were not filming all the phases. And this video was like from start to beginning, one shot. But some groups did it in parts. So there were different strategies to do that. Some of the findings. So this was motivating. They wanted to do it. It was not like considered like extra thing or something. most of the stories were close-up shots. So they were focusing on the thing what they were doing with their hands and showing that exact thing. But as you saw, the camera work was very shaky. So they were not planning beforehand, like using any equipment to make the camera steady, or they didn't have a script for what they were speaking. So they were speaking spontaneously. But anyway, they were speaking science talk. They were talking about the topic, and they were helping others. There was also a discussion board on the movie site, so they had some comments there, like the recipe, what you had there, or they were like supporting comments, this is cool, and that kind of things. After the experiment, they were asked to create mind maps. The class A used mind maps for assessing the learning. Class B didn't have that requirement, so they only did it like as an outcome of the process, but it was not assessed as a part of their course grade. And the outcome, the class A mind maps were much more detailed, and we could say that the understanding of the whole process were deeper here in the class A. But also the class A got more guidance on how to do the mind maps. The class B teacher didn't give that kind of guidance, so they are not really comparable. And based on the teachers, both groups actually learned the topic quite well. So what we learned, we would like to bring more creativity to these kind of documentary videos. So we probably need to give ideas to students that you can, after you have the clip there and you have filmed all the steps, you could have a last clip where you could say what did you think about this, what did you learn, so kind of interview piece there. We learned that creating videos and watching them afterwards helps students to remember things what they did during the lab. So the lab time is not available every day. You can go to chemistry lab like once a week probably. But using your videos, you can revisit the lab thing what you did. So it helps to remember. And when they did the editing work on the third class, they actually processed the information what they had learned. So it provided, it was another tool to learn deeper about the phenomena. There is one article about this also in the book. So we think that this was very good example. They learned very well. They consider technology to be good tool. We were happy of these results. Finally, we asked of all these projects, all these teachers who were involved in the projects and also some other teachers in Finland, what they think about technology and what's wrong there. And in Finland, teachers are very eager to try out new technology. But they think that it's challenging to use technology. It's also exciting but challenging. So both sides exist. And teachers who already had used videos from internet on the teaching thought that yes, this is changing how they are teaching. 55% of Finnish teachers, secondary school teachers, used ICT for place-independent teaching, so they had some kind of activities where students did something on their own while at home or while outside the classroom. And they also communicated with other schools, but not that much, so we could increase the collaboration between schools in here. Teachers think that they don't have enough equipment, although I think that European level studies show that Finland has very good situation on equipments at schools. We are above the average in European level. Teachers said also that students do not have enough devices and software. But on the contrary, I would say that they have, but schools in Finland don't use that potential. So bring your own device is not understood very well in the schools. Well, there are reasons of that, but I don't go to that. Okay, the book you have seen. The outcome of the process, we started to establish a startup on mobile video storytelling. We created a company who is actually providing this movie platform as a service. The company is called, or the tool is not anymore called Movie, but it's called EdVisto. And I would like to end my presentation by showing
education is the most fundamental building block of human development.
EdVisto video.
However, even though technology is changing every aspect around us, most classrooms still look the same as 50 years ago. But this is changing. Just like this school, where teachers and students have started using technology, many other schools have adopted digital tools to improve learning. In 2015, the global spending on digital education surpasses $100 billion. This is almost twice as much as 2 years ago and represents about 3% of the entire education industry. Only 3%. In 10 years, spendings are estimated to have risen like a tide to an incredible $50 trillion, giving digital education the power to reset the global economy. With increasing access to high-speed internet, the consumption of online media is increasing rapidly. In 5 years, video content will cover well over half of all mobile internet traffic. A series of research projects, led by the University of Helsinki in Finland, have studied how this development can be used to improve education, to increase motivation, engagement, and excitement to learn in school. Video storytelling as a teaching and learning methodology emerged. EdVisto builds on this methodology and provides a platform for teachers and students to organize the learning in subject or theme-based projects, where groups of students learn by co-creating, remixing, and sharing video stories, as well as collaborating across schools and countries. EdVisto is designed for learning, enabling a fast and intuitive drag-and-drop interface for story creation, so that the focus stays on the learning instead of learning the technology. EdVisto, learning through stories.
EdVisto is currently looking for schools that would like to try out the product for free for a certain period of time. So if you are interested, you can find more information from the website. And otherwise, I'll thank you.